All right, so I've got the vertical stabilizer rear spar assembly all clecoed back together. Yesterday I riveted the doubler here and this top hinge bracket on, and today basically I'll be riveting everything else back together. The main big doubler down here, the middle hinge bracket and the spar caps, all that gets riveted together so that this assembly is pretty much done with the exception of the lower, that bottom hinge bracket. But yeah, so this takes several different sizes of rivets, both flush head 426s and standard head 470s, and various lengths because they go through, this one here that I've got sitting in place. This one's pretty long. It's a -7, I think, -7, and it goes through the doubler, the spar itself, the spar cap under there. So it's a pretty long one. There's others that just go through the spar and the spar caps. Others that go through the spar caps, and the hinge. Again, some are flush, some are standard head. So a whole bunch of different types and different sizes. I've got I won't be doing any other rivets along the flange here because that's where the skin rivets down. But I've got it clecoed in every other one, to hold the spar cap up against there, and then basically more than every other hole, a cleco in here. And what I'll do is I'll go through and do some, every few ones. And actually, what I'll probably do, since I will need to change out the set, is I'll probably do the ones down here that are the flush head, and then I'll come up here and do the ones that are the standard head, and then do the hinge separately here. Yeah, so that's the plan.
So, as in earlier videos, the first thing I'm doing here is adjusting the ram on the squeezer. Start out with it pretty, so that it doesn't squeeze down very far, and then make a test squeeze, check it, tighten it, squeeze it a little further, measure it with the gauge, tighten it some more. Basically you have to do this anytime you're squeezing a different length rivet than you were before, or a different type of rivet, or even if you're squeezing the same type and length of rivet through a different set of materials that have a different total thickness, as they stack up. But it's not that difficult. Once everything I've read, everything I've seen, you pretty quickly develop an eye for this, for what the shop head should look like, after you've squeezed it. I just haven't developed that eye yet, and I'm, part of the learning process is to do it and check it and, fine tune it. And then once you've done a few, then they're right, then you know what they look like. So that's what I'm doing here. I even still get out the calipers and just check it, because the gauge tells you if it's good enough, and I'm curious what the actual measurement is. So I'm measuring the diameter there as best I can up under there with the calipers, and then I go over and check it against the chart that I have on the wall over there. So now that it's set up, I ought to be able to squeeze 20 or so of these rivets that are all the same type, same length, that all go through that doubler and the spar web and the spar caps.
All right, that looks good. So, scan. Beautiful.
Yeah, so away I go. There's about 10 per side, so about 20 of these AN 426 4-7s. I basically sort of alternate, do a couple on one side, a couple on the other side, flip it back and forth. These are flush head because this is the part of the spar that's going to mount flush to the very back, the very end of the tail cone, the very end of the fuselage, essentially. So, yeah, I just work my way along and get them all squeezed.
Ooh, okay. Slow down. One more. All right. One more that's a -7. On this side.
So the bottom two don't go through the spar caps, they only go through the doubler and the spar web, so they're shorter.
That's all the 4-7s, 426 4-7s. These two don't go through the spar cap, so they are shorter. So I can do those two. So those are 4-6s. There's only two of those. Yep. So one, two. Oh. All right. Got to think this through. So this I'll need to adjust it down a little bit.
Yep, so here I'm going to have to adjust the squeezer, but I know that because I'm going through a lot less material and with a shorter rivet, I'll be able to use the setting I had before and then just tighten it. So that's what I'm doing. And so that's pretty much it. Those are the last two flush head rivets on the bottom part of the rear spar.
All right, so on to the universal head rivets, which I think I've called everything but universal head. Called them normal head, standard head, round head, everything but universal head, but these are universal head rivets. And so now these are 470 4-7s. So 4 is a 1/8 diameter, and -7 7/16 long, I think. Yeah. Diameter is in 32nds, the length is in 16ths. So, make sure that's one of the ones I'm supposed to do, and it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 20 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Skipping that. All right. So let's check. All right, we're going to go with that. See what we get. Ooh. Oh, actually that looks good. All right. Let's see. A little wider than the others, but still tall enough. Okay. Good. I may back that down a little bit. All right. Perfect. So one thing I'm getting is sometimes the rivet, the head will come down like that. It's not sideways, but it's just getting more compression, more squeeze on one side than the other. And I'm sure it's because I'm not holding it perfectly. You know, I just need to improve my skill with holding it at a right angle. It's not, you know, I've checked some of the section 5 of the manual talks about, you know, various things that can go wrong with riveting and whether you should replace them or not if that happens. This is one of the things that it says it's okay, but and you know, then the thing I'm sort of making sure of is even at the shortest spot, you know, where it's squished down the most, it's still, you know, thicker than the gauge here says it should be. So I need to improve my rivet squeezing skill, but that shouldn't be a problem here as I can tell. If somebody watching this has a different opinion and thinks the airplane is going to disintegrate in midair, please let me know, but I really hope not. So, all right. All right, so that's all of the 470 AD 4-7s. All right, so these are AN 470 AD 4-5s. So 1/8, 5/16 long. Now, there's 4 of them, these 4, that go through spar web and spar cap, no hinges. And then there's 8 more that go through spar web, spar cap, and hinges, hinge bracket. Middle rudder hinge bracket. Now what I find surprising is that the plans call for the same length in both of those situations, which means either a -5 is way longer than it needs to be in here, or barely long enough in here. And I'm worried about these a little bit because over here, that was a wrestling match. Now this hinge bracket is a little bigger, so, well, not really. I was going to say it won't be quite as tight. I think it is Got a little more room between the holes. But still, up against here, it's kind of a tight squeeze. No pun intended. So let's see. This guy right here will be, wow, that has a lot of extra room. So, goodness, are they serious? Well, I guess it makes me feel a little better about the hinge bracket, but okay. AN 470 AD 4-5. So here we go. I guess I better adjust this thing, huh? Fall out. Yes. Wow. Okay, the ones I've been dreading. So let's see how we do. All right. So the problem I had with that guy is it was too close. I could not have a Cleco. Let me see. Cleco right beside the one I was trying to do. And that is not going to be an issue here. So that helps a lot. Now, ooh, just about messed up there because I got to back this way down. Even though the rivet's the same length, the amount of material it's going through is a lot more. And I do not want to overdo it. In fact, I'd rather this guy, from what I've learned from my old 1974 chart, this guy being loose, still within tolerance. I can measure with the calipers. So, here we go. Alright, I don't see any way that could mess up. Well, plenty of ways it could mess up, but I don't think you could over squeeze. Definitely not over. I'm not even checking. Still not there. That's getting close. A little loose. Ooh. See, I don't think I want to go. That's not too short, but that's any further, and I think it would be. So we're going to leave it there. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. Probably not the most precise way to be doing this, but all right. 0.182. 0.182. So our chart tells us So our chart tells us 0.163. The minimum diameter of this guy, 0.163. So even though this thing is got some wiggle to it, the military says that's okay. So that's what we'll go with. Yeah. Amazing. 182. Good. All right. So I believe that's it. That is, oh, these guys are, get them out of the way. Yeah.
So I don't think I had mentioned this earlier, but there are a few holes that you need to make sure you don't rivet at this stage. Holes for ribs or for mounting the vertical stabilizers at the fuselage. And so those are the holes that I put the tape over, just to make sure I didn't make a mistake.
All right. Okay, so that's it. That is the rear spar, vertical stabilizer, rear spar assembly. Complete, I believe, with the exception of this the hinge bracket, that lower bottom hinge bracket. That's it, and that doesn't go on. I'll have to look. That might not go on until, oh no, that's on the next page. Okay. All right, that's, what was that? That was, oh, it was the second half of step 6. So, check. All right, cool.